Hello, everyone, and welcome to another wonderful Scrutinizing Sunday. Today is Sunday, the day of rest, the day of rest for those who don't want to win. It's a day of rest for those who want to rest. And that's okay if that's your thing, but that's not my thing, which is why I'm here. And hopefully, it's why you're here with me right now as well, because you're learning and I'm teaching, and we're going to talk about great stuff today. Folks, my name is Sam Stevenson. I am a designer. I put lines on paper and people build houses with those lines. That's what I do. And if you're here, you're probably here because you want to see how I'm growing one of the best design firms that is going to exist. And I'm just doing this week by week. And so, one day we can look back at this and smile at all the cute, wonderful things that we did together along this journey. Quick chat shout out to my brother, Mr. Will Stevenson, in the chat right now. Like that smash button, folks. That is right. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you for your support. Good to have you. Let's talk about some wonderful lessons. We're going to get right into it here. So, the first thing I want to talk about this week, I did a little bit more calling, a little more sales calls this week. And as things are tapering back off out of the planned drawing, I'm going back into sales as I shift my time around. And so I just picked up on a few different kinds of things. One of the things was that people like it generally when you have energy. People like it when you are ready to solve a problem, that you are attentive, that you are reaching out. People like this is specifically on the subject of cold calling versus other marketing methods. If you are advertising and you want to not like the difference between paying for ads versus cold calling versus social media, all those things. When you reach out, oh geez, what's this comment? Hold on. Full screen so I can read it. Loy 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 is the song that alerts me to you being about to stream. Oh my gosh. For those that don't know the song, we'll throw a link in the description. It's a great song. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now that didn't knock me off my train of thought here. All right, so people respond well when you are reaching out. Now, some people don't like being cold called because it's salesy, and people who get sales calls all day long get tired of the sales calls. So, take that for a grain of salt. But basically, if you are in your acquisition phase and you're trying to get more customers and you spend more time doing things that are actively trying to find people's problems and solve them, then that is a wise way to do it, because there's a lot of receptivity to me going outbound, and I'm going back through the list that I've already had, right? I'm going back through the list of Texas, and there are plenty of leads left over that I have not gotten. And there's probably plenty of like good qualified leads for the type of business I'm trying to fit into in my niche. So that said, there's lots of receptivity to that. I highly recommend the active reaching out thing. Another part that was brought up was one of the things that'll happen sometimes when you get on a cold call with somebody, and it could be you talking on the phone because somebody cold called you, or it could be something else. But either way, people generally, if they're into what you're selling, they are going to tell you what their problems are, which is great because that gives you an opportunity to learn what the problems are in the industry, learn what their problems are, speak to how you can solve their problem, or you can find out that they're a terrible fit for you and that you should get off the call, which is great because that saves both people time. But one of the things that happened was I learned a few common themes, and I would say this is true for how I try to make myself be, how I come across to other businesses, as well as how I want other businesses to interpret me and how I interpret other people that I'm going to work with. And that is keeping your personal issues out of your business. It's very difficult to maintain a brand if you're letting your personal life affect your business. And I would say there's a lot of value that comes from people having a mental point of origin in themselves and then trying to run a business from that point of view versus people that are relatively emotionally uncontrolled or easily manipulated by other people, things like that. Because when you, like, if I'm drawing plans for somebody, and I mean, let's say I don't rely on much to do my work, but let's say the software company that I draw with, I needed something from them, and I called them, and it was it was one guy running the thing, and I called him, and like I couldn't get a hold of him, or he texted me, he was like, "Hey, like, hold on, sorry, like, um, I'm having a bad day," or just something like that. It's like, dude, like nobody cares. Nobody cares that you're having a bad day. Like nobody really cares that you're. I'm talking about in the professional world, like your family's going to care somewhat and stuff like that. But also, like particularly if you're a man, nobody wants to hear you complain. And not only do they not want to hear you complain because they don't care about the reasons, they care about the result, but it reflects on your brand. And now, if I'm going to be a designer drawing for you and you're a builder and you're the kind of builder that complains, that's going to reflect on me. If you refer me or if I'm affiliated with you, then people are going to have a bad taste in their mouth. And if they hear my name connected with you, then like that's a thing I don't potentially want to deal with. So, yeah, keep those things separate. And you need to understand that, like, if in the world of professionalism and people solving problems, there's no time or room for like excuses and of any kind. Like, like results are the only thing that matter. So, we got a comment here from Mr. Agent J. What was it? Hold on. This is from my brother. What was this? It's a super effective cold call style DM today. I got a super effective cold call style DM today. Oh, good. Hopefully it was from somebody good. Good morning, Mr. Agent J. Good to have you in the chats on a nice Sunday morning. Agreed. Your personal life is left at the door to your place of business. Look at that excellent profile photo. Wow. Agent J is ballin'. I love it. Let's see. Spot on. I got to like zoom in and out every time I do this. Spot on, Agent J. That's right. That is right. What else we got? Hope I don't accidentally cancel it. My customers don't know my religion, political ideology, etc. Yeah, that's a great point. That's because none of those things matter when it comes to like a problem being solved. You either can or you can't. I throw a lot of things out on the internet, and so people might know things about me that have nothing to do with my business, but that's because I combined the internet for lots of reasons. I use it for leveraging lots of different things, which are somewhat personal. But at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter if I'm feeling sad. If somebody needs their house drawn, like it's got to get drawn. So yeah, keep personal stuff out of business. Now, the other topic I wanted to get into was about identity. And I was talking a little bit with my brother about this topic yesterday, I believe. But the idea is that this is going to get a little bit like heavier, a little bit more strategic, like life strategy, right? Because if you're someone who's growing a business, like your life is very wrapped up in the thing that you're building. So it's not necessarily that your identity is determined by your business, but man, if there's like 100 very important men in the world that all like go to me because they need plans, like I'm the guy who does plans. Like, the Smiths were named Smith because they were blacksmiths. Like they're kind of like tied together, right? So what do we got going on here in the chat? We got Mr. Will saying, and they shouldn't. That is correct. You are absolutely right. Your customers know about your ability to fix their issues in an awesome manner because you're a good businessman. That's right. That is right. Mr. Agent J, feel free to like comment exactly what it is that your business is in the chat. Cause like, I don't think I actually know. I thought it was furniture related, but if you would specify both the business that you do and the niche that you target, that would be helpful for information for me to have. So that would be great. Okay. So identity. The basic concept is that you control your identity by what you choose to consume. And most people are just a product of the environment they're in. So, one, the degree to which you control your environment is important, because if you cannot control your environment, then you cannot control your identity. So, work hard, change your circumstances, do all those things to like give yourself the option to change your environment. And at the end of the day, the I gotta I gotta stop. I gotta move the hold on. I gotta move this thing so I'm not just eyeballing the comments as they're coming by. Um, so get money so that you can change your environment. And even if you don't have that part solved yet, if you have friends that are not the kinds of people that you want to associate with, and I'll talk about like that thing in a second. But if you have people in your life that are not more of what you want to become, then you are consistently not growing into the kind of person you want to become if you hang out with them. Like maybe it doesn't mean you're getting worse and maybe you're like lifting them up, but if you are not like you're like in order for you to improve, you need to be like scientifically speaking next to somebody with a higher level of something so that you can move up towards them. And we can use all kinds of tools to do that. And honestly, nowadays, you don't even physically have to be around a lot because there's so much on the internet. There's so much you can choose to surround yourself with and give your energy to that it makes no sense to give your energy to things that aren't that. So you're a product of your environment. Pick and choose lifestyles of people that you admire and then engage with them accordingly. So, because there's so much on the internet, there's all kinds of groups, YouTubers, mentors, courses, like just like an infinite number of things. And so, the important part here is that we're talking about identity. Like, I'm not talking about like you going and learning a thing. I'm talking about like who you are, the skills you have, the lessons you've learned, the strategies you take, the things you do to spend your time, like where you're going to be, like what's your place in this world? What do you want to do? Which requires some thinking, right? And if you don't know, then like start doing something that seems reasonable because like then you'll just do something instead of nothing. But you have to like basically look at what other people have and think to yourself, do I want that? Do I want that lifestyle? And what you shouldn't do necessarily is like pick one person and be like, I just want their whole lifestyle because you don't know all of the ins and outs that went into producing that. But generally, what happens is people are an expert, at least in one thing, and you can pick and choose different categories of different mentors or people that you're following or all of those things and be like, oh, they do a bunch of this and they get this in this category. Therefore, I'm going to, and you have to decide, I want, like they do X to get Y, I want Y. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to suspend my disbelief and I'm going to use speed of implementation and just do what they did. And if you're lucky enough that they say what they do and it's free, then you can take that information and run with it. That requires action on your part, but that is, one thing you can do. So the suspension of disbelief is more about like get out of your own head, you're where you're at and they're where they're at because they did certain things. So you have to like let go of the idea that somehow you know better, because you don't, by definition, you don't have the things that they have. So suspend your disbelief for a second, and then speed of implementation is more about just literally like not wasting time, not sitting and deliberating, just simply they have a thing. This is what they did. Okay, I'm going to do the thing now. Boom. Simple. You know what? And if you don't get the results, then like maybe they didn't do a good job explaining it, or maybe you didn't do a good job following it, or it's just like they're wrong, which is a thing that happens. There's plenty of people on the internet who will make YouTube videos about how they turned $1 into $2,536. And you know what the thumbnails look like. It's a red number one and it's a green number something. And they like found some shit coin and got really lucky with crypto or whatever. And it's like, that's not necessarily repeatable, but they can sell you something. So like, you got to, pay attention use social proof to figure out like, okay, well, who's just scamming me and who's actually solving problems. Take some due diligence. But, basically, like, your identity is going to be formed by all the pieces of this puzzle that you choose to put together to make the person that you are. And it's not like, I really do think it's that simple. And people get wrapped up in thinking like, oh, I somehow determine who I am. And it's like, oh, were you able to like will yourself to make all of the decisions that you wanted to make last week? No. Oh, well, so did everybody else. And that's because that you don't actually really control most of what you do. You have to think about it in, like basically a future tense. And we have to train ourselves to do things because we are not as simple as just like we have rationally do everything just as we want and all this, that, and the other. We're very emotional human beings. And frankly, most of what we do, like everything, one of the things I was talking about with my brother was that every action is driven by emotion. And we just rationalize why we did it every single time. And the difference with people who continue to just act emotionally and like kind of like just split about in life, that's a technical word, split. Those people just keep doing the things they're doing. And those who figure out that, oh, because I struggle to control like my own direction, I need to control my direction like in the past. Let me see if I can explain this a different way. If I want to do something this next week, I need to set up my environment to make it easy for me to do it, to incentivize me to do it, to understand how to do it. I need to be around people that are doing it, and I need to know how to do it. Like I need to do all those things to end up doing that thing. Excuse me. So if you're not doing something, then find the people that are doing it, go put yourself around them. And like you can pick and choose all the categories that you want, right? So I like to go to the skate park because there's a lot of men there that like risk and they like toughness and they get hurt and they do it again. And like there's a really great vibe for a lot of reasons. I don't go to the skate park to become educated on, Newton's third law. Like I don't go to the skate park to learn relationship dynamics. Like, pick and choose from things that are important in different categories. But if I want to be around a bunch of like testosterone fueled men that are like just having a good time and like super supportive and everyone's just having a great tribal thing, then like that's where I'm going to go. And that's exactly what I get. So let's talk about, I'm going to give some examples here and hopefully you guys can, I'm going to give you my examples because you're here listening to me probably because I say valuable things at some point. And so I'm going to give you my mentors or role models in my different categories that I wrote out. And it's not all inclusive, but it's like some major categories. And the reason I do this is one, because if it worked for me and you also want it, then like, great, you can go do this thing too, because it's a good source. Because like, if you're watching my social media or you're watching things I'm doing or things I'm saying on the internet and you want to emulate it or learn it or be part of it in some way, these are the places I get all my stuff. That's why I'm saying this. And then it can give you the same idea to go learn something. Go like think about who are the people that who are your mentors, all those things. You can write down this list if you want. But basically, here it is. So in terms of my social life and my dating life, I get most, if not all of my direction and content and formation from Michael Sartain. I went through the Men of Action program. And it's a great group to remain in even after you go through the program. A lot of good stuff in there. So I like to use that source of information because Michael has everything that I want. He has the social life that I want. So like, yeah, it involves lots of attractive women, lots of high status dudes that also solve problems and like who wouldn't want a social life like that? So I do. So I'm going to do the thing that the guy says to do who's got it. So pretty simple. In terms of like a step beyond that, let's say I end up in a long-term relationship or like fatherly roles, like all of the deeper, more meaningful stuff in life that people would say is like the family side, right? I like a lot of content from Rollo Tomasi. He wrote the Rational Male books, and he has given me a lot of information that I've been able to use effectively and continue to use effectively to dictate that part of my life and get things that I want. So that's a solid one. In terms of freedom from like social pressure, freedom from myself, freedom from my own drive, my own ambition, just like freedom to just enjoy like life and existence as it is. I get a lot of that from Aaron Clarey. Aaron Clarey wrote many books. The Menu is like probably the one that comes to mind. But he talks a lot about like, what are your options in life? What are you going to do with them? You know, you don't have to make a lot of money to enjoy life. You could do all these other things. And so that's where I get a lot of my freedom from. That's like, you know what? You know, I've already done all this work this week. I'm just going to like go do something I enjoy because that's what I want to do. Like great source of freedom there. So Mr. Justin Waller, Jay Waller, that is he's a mentor, not a mentor. He's a role model in terms of like Southern charm and social affluence, like his calm demeanor, his attention to detail, the way he speaks, his, you know, his aura, his charisma, all of those things I admire very much. And so I consume his stuff in those regards because like I want that part of me to be able to emulate something like that at some point. So there's that. In terms of business and economic leverage, Michael Sartain's a decent example, and Jay Waller's also a decent example, but Alex Hormozy would probably be number one on this list because he just makes so much content. He makes so much that's free, and it's so valuable that like, okay, he's number one. So that's, you know, I talk about Alex Hormozy a lot because most of what I'm talking about on this show is building a business. So that requires pretty much everything he's talking about. So that would be a good one. Now, here's the funny part. We talked a little bit about relationships and wealth, but health is like the third part, right? So fitness. And here's the funny part. All these dudes that I just mentioned are in varying degrees in great shape, right? They work out often, they are healthy, they are active, they do all these things, right? So hint, hint, if you go to the gym, your life will be better off for doing all those things. And then of course, it's the last two that I thought about were wealth as a like money making my money tool. Alex Hormozy is pretty good if you're like using business to do that. But otherwise, Robert Kiyosaki is a pretty good one. And your friend Sami on YouTube, I reference him a lot because there's a lot of things he talks about that are parallels to all of the other men that I talk about that are role models to me. And so, you know, the whole puzzle, all the puzzle pieces fit together. So there's that. And then, of course, the last little edge is like mental resilience and like toughness for the sake of it. I would refer to Andrew Tate as just being like a source of, if I feel like I'm being a weak bitch about something, or I'm I'm complaining, or I'm like have no reason, like whatever it is. And Michael Sartain's pretty good at this also. But if you just go watch an Andrew Tate video and he just like says something offhand and it just like makes you feel like, oh man, yeah, like this is really good stuff. Like, why don't I just go put some beehives in the garden kind of thing? So that's my list. So I encourage you guys to look at your status bars of all these categories you have for your business, for your life, for your health, your wealth, all those things. And they're all going to be at different points. So if you're making a ton of money, but you have no social life, maybe the Men of Action thing is a great place to go. Michael Sartain's really great at like, hey, how do you build a social life properly without just like throwing a bunch of money and trying to like buy friends? You know, how do you do all these things? So that might be something to do. But generally, I would say look at all the bars. And most people would say, hey, look at the lowest ones and like go improve those. But no, don't do that necessarily because that's a blank prescription. You should analyze your life. How old are you? What should you work on? Your health, you should pretty much always work on because health is going to be the starting point to everything else going well. If you're not healthy, it's really hard to do everything else well. But basically improve all of them, I would say. And I know that's not helpful, but maybe it is helpful because maybe no one tells you just like why aren't you improving all of them? You have plenty of time in a day, you know. But, you can obviously redirect your energy to where you like it the most. I'm spending a lot of time lately grinding out the economic problem because that's just like the most relevant thing. And I happen to know that I have enough in all my other bars that if I blow that one up, then I'm hopefully going to be able to exponentially do lots of other things. So that's what I'm thinking. And guys, that is pretty much my list. Things are a little simpler around here. I'm basically going to be selling and drawing. And if I'm not doing those two things, I'm probably having a good life in some form or another. So I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm going to solve people's problems as need to be solved. People need models, people need plans, all these things. This, that, and the other. Let me pop through this chat here. Let's see what I've been missing. Okay. An important part of sales and communication with customers is upwards inflection usage during speech. Thank you, Brother Will. You are correct. I'm with Sam. I think about two things, crypto and my business. LOL. Yeah, that's pretty much it, Jay. Let's try to build some wealth with crypto. And as a backup, if that all goes to zero, we still got a business so we can pay some bills. Excellent. Targeted upwards inflection usage. Yes. Furniture restoration, my friend. Okay. My niche is my local market here in Arizona. Students in ASU and modern family turnkey homes. Interesting. Okay. Furniture restoration. All right. Got it. So guys, if you need furniture restoration and you're in Arizona, hit up Agent J. You can find him in the DGen Roundtable. There's probably a Telegram link somebody could drop in the chat or something like that. 100% truth. I'm at the gym right now. Hey, that's right. Agent J's at the gym because that man is shredded. And he's shredded because he's at the gym. He's not at the gym because he's shredded. Hell yeah. Get them gains. That's right, folks. Cool. That's pretty much all I got. We got a little bit chiller of a stream this Sunday. Nothing super specific, but I'm just going to keep grinding. We're just going to keep making things happen because the more you do, the more you get. And so let's do some doing. And I'm going to get off this stream, get off this couch, go over there to that computer and make myself some money. That's what I'm going to do. You guys enjoy your Sundays. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for spending your valuable time. If you're part of the replay gang to today, Junior. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.